All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Simplanova AL Tools demo. My name is Petras Butenas, and today I will be happy to show you some new examples on our demo, a faster way of installing Simplanova AL Tools. And I'm honored today to also be joined by Eric and Johan from Xitec, who will share their experience with using Simplanova AL Tools on their project. So before we begin with the demo, I would like to do a short introduction for those of you who are new to Simplanova and don't know us. So the core of our business is upgrading NAV to Business Central, and we do it on a fixed price basis, and we are highly specialized on the topic. Apart from that, we also provide either fixed price or contractual Business Central development services for Microsoft partners. And for those of you who want to do the migrations yourself, we have a number of NAV upgrade tools, not just Simplanova AL tools, but also a number of conversion tools if you're going from the C side. Now, over the past 9 years, we have worked with over 200 Microsoft partners around the globe. And together with them, we have delivered over 450 upgrade projects. Internally, we estimate that using our tools and knowledge has helped save over 100,000 hours on whether on those projects or on the projects that our partners have used the tools. So why do we need this demo, and why do we need to discuss faster ways of migration? So this is not a new slide, but I think it's important to emphasize that over the past few years, the cost of migration has significantly increased, and the 44% ratio that you see on the slide is from our own internal estimates. Since we do a lot of cost calculations for migrations, we saw that upon the release of new development environment, the cost has risen significantly, which led to a decrease in sign-off rates and also put a strain on partners' capacity. And if you put those together, we see that we can do less migrations, it's more expensive, and it's harder to sell. Now, the reasons we all know already. Apart from the new development environment, we have changes in functionality, new UI, and lack of experience. But the question is, what can we do about it? And I would say it depends on the migration path your customer has to take, or the one that you would recommend. So if we are looking at re-implementation with data migration, or if you're looking just to migrate data, then we have a highly specialized process automated service, which we call Clean Start Upgrade, which is essentially just data migration and add-on merge. And it's really easy to start. So you just go to simplanova.com. There's an online calculator where we put in your customer details, and you would instantly get a fixed price proposal, which starts at 800 euros per upgrade and goes upwards depending on the size of the solution. And this is a very efficient way of doing it. We would usually be able to start within the same month. Now, what if you need more than just data? If you need to migrate customizations, well, you have two solutions. One is using us for your upgrade. Now, we would ask you the customer objects, which we would then analyze. So it's not just a fixed price proposal that you would get, but also a full analysis document where we would list the challenges we see in migrating, what can be migrated, what cannot be migrated. We also split it into details where we would say how much each object takes time. And you can use this analysis document. You can add your own training services, whether go live or anything else you need to do on top, your margin, and sell this to your customer. And this will, trust me, be the most efficient way of doing it, because you have a specialized team. It's always fixed price. You don't take any risk. And we use our conversion tools to make it faster. And this is probably the best deal out there if you want to have it more efficient. However, if you want to do it yourself, we have the Upgrade Tools platform now, for the do-it-yourself approach. So how do you do it? So let's move on to the demo. So Simplanova Tools platform consists of three things. So first off, automated code conversion, then automated code upgrade suggestions. It's not released yet, but by the end of this year, we plan to add this to the tool. And finally, there's a chatbot with a knowledge base of the past 9 years, which we've compiled to help you if you have a question about migration. If it's not handled by the tools, you can maybe find an answer there. So what does the code conversion do? Well, we handle a number of areas. I think the most important are, first off, moving code to events, where we extract events from the comments in the code unit delta files, and we move them to AL files, dedicated event subscription code units, which are divided by object type. Then, of course, trigger modifications are automatically moved to AL triggers where possible. And we also handle a number of other things like temp blob usage is refactored, fixing breaking changes, lately working on options to enums migration, fixing file management issues. And we have estimated that if you have a big migration and we use salt on it, and by big migration, I mean heavily modified solution in CAL, then you can save 30% of time using salt, which could turn out to be hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Now, it has become a lot easier to install Simplanova AL Tools. You just have to open Visual Studio Marketplace and simply search for Simplanova AL Tools, and you can install it in your environment. So we don't move on and do it. So let's begin with the chatbot. So chatbot is a Microsoft Teams chatbot, which you can use for upgrade questions. So let's begin with the usual control questions just to see if it's alive. I can see it's responding. Some more control questions. Let's check if the chatbot still likes me. And the question I really like to use in all presentations. I always keep getting the same answer, but maybe this time it will be different. Nope. So let's move on to answering upgrade related questions. So the top level question is where to begin. And if you ask this question, you can use the chatbot as a wizard. It will show you all the top level answers. So you could move down to find potentially something you need. So let's take as an example that you're on nav 5.0. And if I select it, this step, I see other steps and I can move down as to find the answer I need. But I can also type in a question and expect to receive an answer. So for example, how to upgrade matrix forms. So in this case, it will show me the answer I'm expecting to show. If the chatbot doesn't know something, for example, how many attendees joined today, then it will respond with a message suggesting registering this question to our support team. And then our support team will add this Q&A pair to the chatbot so that next time the chatbot hopefully answers this question. So this is not your upgrade support by our support team, but we will teach the chatbot in the long run to handle more and more cases. So now we can move on to the automated code conversion. I have two examples today. First one is the simple example of a demo project. So first, let's begin with installing Simplanova AL Tools. This is how easy it is. You can see it's already here. I have it in my Visual Studio Code environment. And the first thing you can do is press the Analyze button, which will look at the objects I have in the solution. And if it knows that it can apply something to those objects, if it knows that it can fix them, it will show them in this list. So I can see the progress bar at the bottom. Now it tries to checks which objects it can fix. So with just 15 objects or so that I have, it should take around a minute. But if I had more than 1,000 objects, then it would probably take me a few hours before it returns back the result. And same for processing. So we'll wait for a few more moments to return the result. And here I see all the objects that can be fixed by salt now. So I can select only the objects that I want to convert. I can also select the rules that I want to apply. Maybe I don't want to apply some of the rules because I like to handle the code in a different way than salt handles. Then you can select that here and also refer to our documentation to see what rules are applied here. Now, if I want to convert, there's an extra step that you need to do, and that is adding a license key. So you would need to press on the logo here and enter the license key here, and then you can start converting. Now, to get the license key, I have that slide at the end of the presentation. But when I'm ready to convert, I select the objects and I press the process button. Before we do that, we can quickly check what issues we have. I have a template issue here in company information page. I have a breaking change here, some more template issues and a file management issue. I also have some triggers in the comments here that weren't converted. And here. So I think we are ready to start converting. Now this error message shows me that the Delta files are missing, and this is an important piece when converting with salt. You first have to convert your CAL objects. You have to export them from, for example, Business Central 14, as in this case. You then have to apply text to AL like you would normally do when converting your code. And once you do that, you would have to add your deltas file here in the project, and then you can start converting. So I didn't add it here, but I don't need to. This is a very simple example. But normally you would need to do that, and only then you can start converting. Apply text to AL, generate deltas, and then apply salt, and you will have the result. So let's wait for a few moments for it to convert it. All right, we see that it's done. What it has done here, was it sent the AL objects to Simplanova servers where we converted the objects. We don't store the files, we don't save them. Then it imports it back and overrides the existing files. So please save copies before converting because it will otherwise override them. And now we see that all the errors have disappeared. We have only warnings left here. And I will open source control to see how the changes were applied. So if we open the company information page, we see that the template issue has been fixed. Company event table, see that options to enums. We see the file management issue here. We see the trigger has been lifted from comments here, and also trigger lifted from comments here as well. Now you may say that this is a very simple example, and you would be correct. So let's move on to another example. Now I will not be converting this live because it may take a few hours for me for the process to run. But this is an add-on that there is an actual case to be converted. It has been exported from Business Central version 14 in CAL, then converted with text to AL, and then with salt, and nothing else was done here. So you can see that after converting with salt, you still have over 7,000 of issues that you would have to solve manually. And you can also see that salt has touched over 440 objects out of the 1,300 objects here. So it has tried around a third of it to do something. So let's begin with the code units that were generated automatically by Salt. So Salt has merged all the code units into this code unit file. Some over 35 code units here, and it has created event subscribers for you, so you wouldn't have to do it. And you can see that it has created over 160 event subscribers, and we internally estimate that it may take half an hour for one event subscriber to be created manually. Therefore, it saves you around 80 hours of work just with this one file by creating event subscribers, just applying this one function, which is roughly 2 weeks of one developer's work. Now you have more files. You have the page event subscription code unit and have table event subscription code unit. If you look here, you see that there's around 140 cases, which we estimate could save you 70 hours. So just these two files could save you around 150 hours. So roughly a month of developers' work by applying one rule of Salt. Well, this is an important rule, of course, but just by migrating code to events. Now you can see that it also moves custom code inside the event subscriber code units. And if I open one example that I've checked before this demo, which is on before insert cap value entry, I will show you where this is coming from. So this is the event subscriber code unit created for you. And this is the custom code that has been added here. Now, if I go to the deltas folder here and I open this delta, I can search for the same on before insert cap value entry. And I will see that this is a modification to the post item procedure inside the item journal post line code unit. And this is the custom code, the standard code from the base application that's been here. And at the end of it, you see that from line 64, there's this custom code, which was taken from the Delta file and added here inside the event subscriber code unit. All right, so moving on. So how do you get Simplanova AL Tools? Well, two ways. One is go to simplanova.com, Simplanova AL Tools, apply there, and you can get the license key. And to install it, simply download from Marketplace. Another way is write to sales@simplanova.com, and we will provision you a license key. Simplanova AL Tools is sold as a subscription. So it's a yearly subscription for as many migrations you want to run. Now, if you want to learn about any pricing information, we will not share it today, but please write to sales@simplanova.com and we will share the pricing information. Now, before introducing you to the roadmap and the features we plan to soon release on top of what I've shown today, I would like to introduce you to Eric and Johan from Xitec, who will share their story of using Simplanova AL Tools.
Hi.
Hi there. We're Johan and
Hey
Eric from Xitec. We are a Microsoft partner. We specialize in the wholesale and production of paint in the Netherlands. For a couple of years, we always programmed in CAL, and as you hope so, we're going to AL. At first, we started with text to AL to get familiar and acquainted with AL, but that conversion gives us more questions than answers. So we looked in several sites. What are the possible tools that can help us to get the conversion done? We want to do it by ourselves to get familiar with AL. There are two. Petras mentioned we can give it to Simplanova and get the real AL app back, but we want to do it by ourselves to get familiar with it. And that's why we used the Salt tool. The Salt tool is working fine for us, but Petras showed in the demo if everything is right, and it's but in a couple of years where we made a little modifications in call or mistakes in call that never were noticed by us, but when we used the tools, we saw a lot of issues to solve. And we have a couple of tips and tricks for you. So how do you get the more a better conversion to AL
results?
Yeah, with salt. And one of the tips are from clean up your call code. There are a lot of obsolete objects you don't use, trial and error objects. Delete them, make a clean version. And what we also did in the last years, if there is a new upgrade from Microsoft, we didn't implement the whole update. For instance, if you want to make if you need the new reminder objects, you only append the reminder objects to call and leave the rest out of order. But when we make the conversion and get the tools running, we get a lot of difference. So make a base version based on the version objects you have used, because that saves you a lot of save you a lot of work. Also, the enums, they are automatically, the options are automatically converted to enums. And in the previous version of Salt, I think in the roadmap it will be solved this lately. But in the version we used, that was a real problem, because if you use spaces or special characters in an enum and an option value,
string,
then the enum was not good. And it gives you a lot of errors. And when we solved all those problems in call, make a new conversion, and we get less errors. So that is a good thing to do. But I'm kijk uit naar
looking forward to
the
latest release of
Salt. So that are the mainly tips. The real pros from Salt are that a lot of things, mainly the blobs are converted, the enums are converted just a little bit by hand, and the subscriber coding is what Peter's earlier mentioned. That saves really a lot of work, because when you have to go to the code and see what subscriber you have to make, but it's already made for you, you only have to test it and look at it. That saves a lot of time. So that helps us very well. Maybe the next. So when we look at the conversion at the stage we are now, then the Salt saves us a lot of time compared to the standard text-to-AL conversion. In the past months we keep contact with Simplanova, and I must say they are really fast and give good answers, and they think along. That's maybe the enums has come from us, and they will solve it in the later versions. And that's what they do. They listen, they investigate, and maybe they append it to a new version. So we don't work with the tool. They don't work. We work together with the tool, and I think that's the main good thing about working together with Simplanova. Yeah.
Well,
conclusion.
Thanks so much for sharing your case. Anyone, feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom if you'd like to ask anything from Xitec, from Eric or Johan, or regarding Salt. Now I will conclude then with the finishing slide on roadmap. We are continuously improving this tool. I don't see options to enums here. Maybe because we have concluded that in the latest release, but I will double check that. But what we're working on now is suggestions, first of all, on how to handle some code parts which we don't see how we can handle automatically with tool. So some suggestions on what we would apply. And initial project setup is also something we'd like to soon release for everyone. So you don't have to run text to AL, create deltas somewhere else. So you could simply export CL objects and start using our tool. So this would hopefully make it easier. And the other things, of course, further improving event upgrades. There's still a number of things we want to do. We also want to handle report layouts, automation refactoring, suffixes, prefixes. And at the bottom of this list, there's a number of additional breaking changes we want to handle. There's still a big list from Microsoft. And hopefully this will be within the coming year finished, unless we come up with some more cases. So thank you everyone for joining this demo today. And now we'll move on to the Q&A session. All right. So first question from James. Hi, James. And he's asking any issues using Salt with source control. I haven't seen any issues, but maybe Eric, Johan, you could share your experience with that. Issues using Salt with source control.
No, we use Git in Visual Studio Code, and it works fine. As shown in the demo, the source control shows you which items are changed, and then you can commit them to your GitHub if you want. So no issues.
All right. Thank you very much. We still have time if someone else has any questions. I see the usual message. So for anyone who's interested in the testing of it or license key, the best way would be for the testing is if you share your objects, we convert it on our side, share the screen and show you the result. Another way of it is simply download it from Visual Studio Code Marketplace, press the Analyze button. It will show you how many objects Salt affects. You can then decide whether it's worth the investment on your project. And I think that would be the two ways. So either press the Analyze button or otherwise send us objects, which will convert and we'll show you. We don't have any other way for a trial at the moment, but this would be the two ways. All right, I think that will be it for today. Thank you everyone for joining, and especially thank you Eric and Johan for joining and sharing your experience today. If someone has any other questions, please send us via email and we'll take it from there.